All right, let's get into it. Today, we're going to pull apart one of the most intense breakup poems you'll ever read, Lord Byron's When We Two Parted. Seriously, it's a masterclass in how to write about a heartbreak that just won't go away, and we're going to see exactly how he pulls it off.
I mean, you know the one, right? The memory that can pop into your head and still make you physically cringe, even after all this time has passed. Well, that's the exact feeling Byron is tapping into. This poem is from like 200 years ago, but the raw emotion, it feels like it could have been written last week.
And here he is, the man himself, Lord Byron. He was basically a rock star in his day, a famous romantic poet, a bit of a rebel. Now, this poem is supposedly about a secret affair he had with a married woman, and it did not end well. That whole vibe of secrecy and scandal is so important for understanding the shame and sorrow that's just dripping from every line.
So let's look at this poem in three parts, like a little play. Act 1 is all about the breakup itself, a cold farewell. Keep this question in your head as we go through the first stanza. How does a poet actually make you feel coldness? It's tricky, but Byron just nails it with a couple of perfectly chosen words. Here we go, this is it. Pale grew thy cheek, and cold, colder thy kiss. See what he did there? He doesn't just say her kiss was cold, he says it was colder than her cheek, which was already cold. That little comparison tells you everything. The love isn't just fading, it's actively getting colder, dying right in that moment.
So let's break this down for an essay. Byron is using sensory language, all about touch and temperature, to make emotional pain feel physical. You can almost feel the chill. And repeating cold and then escalating it to colder, that just hammers home how final this is. There's no coming back from this. And he cleverly links that hour from the past to the sorrow he's feeling in the present. And look at this. He uses the world around him to show what's going on inside. That cold morning dew on his forehead, it's not just weather. It's a physical warning, a little taste of the emotional chill that he's going to be stuck with for years. It's a brilliant way to show nature mirroring his feelings. Okay, on to Act 2. Years have gone by now, but the pain hasn't gone away. It's just changed. It's turned into this mix of public shame and private grief. This is so important. Their affair was a secret, right? But he still feels the sting of her ruined reputation, her light fame. So now, every single time he hears someone mention her name, he feels that shame as if it's his own. He just can't get away from it. It's like he's tied to her forever by this secret. And this leads us to probably the most powerful metaphor in the whole poem. I mean, think about that. What does it mean when just hearing a name feels like death? A knell in mine ear. Wow, that line is just devastating. The sound of her name isn't just a sad reminder. It's like a bell tolling at a funeral. To him, their love is dead and buried, and hearing her name is just a constant, painful reminder of its death. And just so we're all on the same page, a knell is specifically a funeral bell. Byron chose that word for a reason. He's not just heartbroken, he is literally mourning. The relationship didn't just end, it died. For your exam, this is the perfect example of how one single word can create an incredibly powerful image. Which brings us to our final act, the future. So after all this time, all this pain, has anything changed? Is there any light at the end of the tunnel? Well, Byron gives us a pretty clear answer. So one of the most clever things about this poem is its structure. It ends in almost the exact same place it started. We call this a cyclical structure, and it's a huge hint from Byron. It basically tells us that the speaker is stuck in a never-ending loop of grief. There is no escape. So remember the opening lines? The poem kicks off in the past, remembering that moment of parting, in silence and tears. And now look at the closing lines. He asks a question about the future. If they ever meet again, how would he greet her? And the answer is exactly the same, with silence and tears. Nothing has changed. Nothing will change. The pain is permanent. Okay, we've gone deep on this one, so let's pull everything together and focus on what you really need to know for your exams. Here's your summary. The big themes are grief, secrecy, and shame. The structure, it's cyclical, which proves the pain is inescapable. And the language is just loaded with sensory details like cold and these powerful death metaphors like knell. All of that works together to create this really bitter, mournful tone that just doesn't let up. And listen, if you only memorize 3 quotes, make them these 3.
In Silence and Tears is perfect for talking about the cyclical structure and that endless sorrow. Pale grew thy cheek and cold is your go-to for sensory language. And a knell in mine ear, that's your killer quote for the death metaphor. These are your heavy hitters for sure.
So I'll leave you with this final question to chew on. The whole poem is jumping between the past, the present, and the future. Think about how Byron weaves all those timelines together to make his final heartbreaking point, that some wounds, some heartbreaks, never really heal.